From Significant, this is Crack It in an Hour.
Hello, everybody. We're excited to be here. Welcome back to another episode of Crack It in an Hour, where we have one problem once a week and we have 1 hour to crack it.
Woo!
I'm Roman.
I'm Jessie.
And I'm Biz.
And we do have a special guest today, Nourhan. I will let you introduce yourself.
Hello, guys. Thank you for having me. I'm Nourhan. I'm the co-founder of Pew Design Bureau. I'm a brand strategist and creative director, and I'm excited for today.
That's awesome. Thank you for being here.
So excited.
And you're a global citizen. Like, I don't know, we had a chat and I
Maybe
can't even
I am.
remember where you live because you kind of live everywhere on the
I
planet,
do.
which is awesome and impressive. And I'm sure we'll get to talk about it. So anyway, today, the host is Biz. So I will just get the clock going.
And Biz is just going to make up the topic on the fly.
All right, let's go.
I believe in jazz. So I think we've talked about this in different topics, but I don't think we've ever directly addressed it. So today we're going to talk about community.
So good.
But the thing that we're going to talk about is how to specifically create more true community and not buzzword community.
Okay.
Does that
I like
good?
it. I like
Okay.
it
I love
already.
it. The specificity.
Yeah. Because I think a lot of people are craving it, right? Like we hear about this. I mean, there's even like a stat that over 70% of people say in the US that they have like this strong sense where they want more belonging in the community. And the Google trends are going up. People are like, how do I make friends as an adult? I need that third space. Like I need a book club, all these things. So the trends are increasing. Neighborhoodism is also increasing right now, where people are sort of like wanting to like, you know, bring sugar over to their neighbors and things like that. Like
Do
there's
people
like more
do that?
now. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think like people are like craving that. Like in a world where there's like so much DoorDash, like people want the
Yes.
the neighbor.
Oh,
You know
yeah.
what I mean?
That's
So
cute.
I think there's this thing happening where there's obviously a lot of demand, and you're also seeing it in brands too, with like Strava and like Vogue is talking about it. But then there's this problem where people aren't actually out there creating community. We have the loss of religion and going to church. We have the rising economic costs that are creating like the sort of lack of being able to go out in community.
Mhm.
And of course, you have all those like sad stats about how people feel just like, you know, lonely and
Oh, boy.
depressed. And they have no
Tell us
friends.
about the loneliness epidemic.
and all
Biz.
those
Oh,
things.
no.
Yeah. So the core topic of today, after my big rant, is basically, I love this line. I've heard it from a friend of a friend. Everybody wants a village, but no one wants to be a villager.
Yeah.
So that is the core of the topic today.
I mean, shout out to Charlie McKittrick's daughter, I think, is the one who said, or at least that I know of, said, everybody wants a village, but nobody wants to be a villager. And
Yeah.
I'm like, damn, it's so true.
That's awesome. That's a good line. What does it
Yeah.
mean?
What does it mean? So what do you think
Don't
it
start,
means?
don't start.
Unpack it. What does being
I think-
like? Everyone
the-
wants community, right? What do people not do that they should be doing to
I
get
think
community?
that I think what people forget is that being in a community takes work. It requires effort.
Mhm.
It is a give and a take. And I think people miss the receiving end of community, but don't realize how much they have to put
Right.
in to create, not only to build the community, but actually that's just how a community functions. It is literally a receive and a give structure. That's the whole concept, whether you're a brand giving people access and status, or whether you're a person giving your neighbor sugar and then they help you out with walking your dog. Like and I think that people want something, but they don't always want to put in, or don't realize the work it's going to take. Like, for example, even going and knocking on your neighbor's door today seems crazy. Like, you know, we're all strangers to the people who live. Actually, let me back up. I'm saying we're all strangers. That's such a coastal thing. Like the not even talking to your neighbor
Right,
is such a
right.
big city thing. And I know we've talked about this before, but everyone loves to say how community is dead. But actually, in like the heartland of the US, community is very alive and well. And I don't know, maybe in other parts of the world, especially, community is probably still alive and well. But
I feel like when it comes to community, if you're trying to build like genuine community that people will proactively want to be a part of, is going to be about more niche interests where we could align. So I feel there are a sense of community, and I feel like the internet has that kind of basis of community. It's just online.
Mhm.
So if you like this specific movie or you like this specific book, and you feel like, oh, I want to talk about it to someone, right?
Yeah.
I want to discuss this book with someone.
Mhm.
And then you reach out on the internet. I was like, oh, I'm reading this book, and you look for forums. And I feel like this is where community starts, because no one wants to do the work, right? But everyone wants to be part of something in a way.
Mhm.
And I feel this is where it starts. I just saw like this video about how this woman fell in love with her AI person or chatbot. Yeah, of course. But,
Classic tale.
Of course. But,
Psychosis.
yeah. But the reason she did was because she read this book. I don't remember the name of the book, but she read this book and she didn't have anyone to talk to about it. So she was like, well, I'll just open this AI chat and I'll just discuss the book. And then she actually fell in love with the AI bot. So it's kind of sad, but it kind of tells you like, where people really crave this sense of community and what community really means, I feel.
So that's a good point that I want to just like throw the theme out there, because it was something that came up in my research. We have a lot of moments of connection, but not all connection is community.
Right.
Yeah. And I think that's like one of the biggest sort of almost existential things that we face right now, which is like we have so much opportunity for connection over shared topics, shared interests, shared values, but it's not translating to actually building the structure of community in your life.
Yeah.
Well, maybe we should talk about what does make a community, because I feel like you said it maybe at the beginning, Biz, it's like a buzzword, but like, I mean, I think it requires a give and take. Like personally, to me, that's a core part of it. There has to be effort put in and then something received.
Yeah. Even if, I mean, at a high level.
Yeah. I mean, right? I'm just trying to
even if give is just literally, because
time.
Yes. Because like if you, this is a word that's very difficult to me, because it doesn't mean the same in French really, or it's not used the same way. Like you use the term, you hear the term community in the US like all the time for anything and everything. like literally, like, and so it's a term that's a little like, do you call? So I'm going to ask a few questions along the way, because I'm like, do you call your group of friends a community?
I don't.
Yeah, okay, so friends are friends. So what is a community? What's at the heart of it? It's a center of interest, a passion. It's a, I don't know. It's a way of thinking. It's just like for a neighborhood. People call their neighborhood their community.
Yeah, but I mean, it depends, right? I think it's a mix of a few things, like definitely ideology, maybe. So even if in a neighborhood and we all go to like this one supermarket and then we say, oh, the price of eggs or whatever is up. So now there is a sense of, oh, we maybe need to mobilize and do something about it. So I feel like it's different, but it needs to have like a shared sense of like, I don't know if it's an interest or an ideology or like a goal, and that's what makes a community.
I think it's any of those. Yeah, there's something that binds the community together. I think what's interesting, like, I think it's the problem. Part of the problem of people not feeling like they have community is because everything and nothing is community now.
Right.
Yeah.
Like the internet is community, the neighborhood is community, your friends are community, that's a community center, the gym is a community, the internet, the Reddit, and so like everything simultaneously nothing. And so I think if part of the problem we're trying to solve is how do you build true community, which is what you said, Biz. And I think what I'm taking from that is like not all community has connection, but not all connection is community. And how do you build a true sense of community for people? What are the structures and things that it would require? And I think we have to ask like what it would require to, what are the components, I guess?
Yeah. I don't know. That was my question.
I feel like it starts...
Now I'm asking you the question.
I went full circle back to the question.
No, I just feel like maybe it starts by something so simple. We all have like one shared, let's say, interest or whatever. We all watched the same movie, right? We all come together, discuss that said movie. And then we talk about different tangents about the movie. And then we get to explore each other's ideologies. And then bit by bit, oh, do you want to do like a movie screening or something? And then someone can't make it because their car broke down. They don't have money to fix it. So I feel like bit by bit, you start building community, and it's like you don't just have community. And then bit by bit, you also kind of empathize with one another. You have shared interests, but you all kind of have each other's backs, and it just kind of keeps evolving to something bigger and bigger and bigger.
I think that's what's interesting is, I mean, it seems very obvious when I say it out loud, but what you're talking about is it's the idea of everybody wants a village, but nobody wants to be a villager, which is community has to be built. Literally, brick by brick, like what you just said. It's like it starts here, and then slowly but surely, like someone's car. So then you want that person to be there. So somebody goes and picks that person up, and like it requires effort. I think as we're talking about it, what I'm realizing is where we probably have to start the problem is like how do you encourage people to put the effort into community? Because everybody wants the benefits of it, but like, you know, you need an initiator, and you need builders, and you need people who want to.
But I'm trying to think of like the most obvious communities to me.
Yeah.
They weren't like built.
Like what?
Religion was never neighborhoods.
Oh my God, the religious community was
built so hard.
Pixel by pixel.
But I don't think someone said, I'm going to build a community. Like neighborhoods, sports clubs, fitness gyms. My point is no one's ever said, my goal is community.
No, the goal is usually manipulation.
Whatever the goal is.
That's how you build community.
I don't want to say what I think of religion. I seem to think it's manipulation.
Yeah.
That is your point of view, Jesse. This is not endorsed by the podcast.
Are we religious now? I don't know.
Absolutely not. Okay. the
News to
the
me.
neighborhood component is always, it's always like blowing my mind how everyone in the US calls a neighborhood a community. I'm like, why? You just live in the same place. Like that's I'm still trying to understand what it is. And I don't think it's intentionally built.
I think the problem is community is the label and it's not the thing. Like if you break down the components of it, what people want is support,
belonging.
They want
there's a pride,
shared ideologies. Like I think there was a time in the world where people also enjoyed quite literally seeking out differing opinions. That's not quite the same anymore, but that was a big part of community is like actually being exposed to new and different interesting things. I think, and what's funny is like, you think we have access to all of that still, yet people say community is dead. So it's like, it's a really interesting conundrum.
Yeah. So my question off of that is, what do you think the barriers are to people wanting to actually actionize in community, if that makes sense?
Well, I think it's not about telling them you're going to get community by doing that. It's about finding what they like in life and help them do that thing. And if your thing is running, then we're going to help you go to a run club because you're alone at home and you don't have a treadmill and you don't want to run on a treadmill and you think that running is too hard. And if your thing is playing team sports, we're going to help you find a team. And through that, you'll find community. I think it needs to be backhanded.
Yeah.
I think, but that's a great, you will find community, but will you engage in the community? Because I think we all have access to the internet and different, whether it is online or it is out in the real world. These run clubs, these online forums through Discord, brands now are really capitalizing on it. But what is preventing people from actually engaging in the communities if they do exist?
I think that there isn't enough, I don't want to say reward because not everyone is looking for like clear incentives, but rather like when it's lacking in community in a sense, because sometimes we see those communities being built, but they're just empty jargon, right? It's like, we have a community of, I don't know, like followers of a specific brand.
Super fans.
Yeah. We're the cult following of whatever.
Loyalists.
Yeah. But then it's kind of like an empty space with just people in it, and they're not really talking. So I don't know. I feel like, so when you were talking about third spaces, I think this is where community starts getting built, because I think third spaces started right around like the
Starbucks.
No, of course.
Religion.
Yeah. But I think it was around like the Second World War II is over. Everyone is kind of like starting living their lives. You have the neighborhood, you have your community.
Yeah.
But then people got bored, right? Because the only places where they would hang out was either work, home, or maybe like in other places, like other neighbors' homes as well. Yeah. And this is where like the first mall kind of got built, like creating third spaces. I think it was in Minnesota. And
that
would make sense.
I would buy that.
Yeah, I think the very first mall.
Fact check approved.
No, but I think it was around Minnesota. That was like the first ever mall built. And it was to kind of create that third space where people can go and meet different people aside from their neighborhoods. Mm-hmm. So again, the question is like, so what is community? So yes, maybe in neighborhoods, not just because we all live in the same place that we feel like we are part of the same community, but rather it's just like, oh, these are the people I live around and we just happen to walk down the same road or whatever. But there's always really been like, oh, I want to meet other people that maybe like the same things I like or buy the same things I buy.
I think that one of the roots of community was a desire for closeness with other people. And I wonder if some of that has... maybe I wouldn't say disappeared, but you said this word earlier, niche. And it's like, I think that there was a period of time where people actually didn't want to be close to anybody. And I don't even mean physical, like proximity close, like COVID, when nobody wanted to be within 6 feet of each other. But like, I think people started to retreat. And now I think people miss, that's why people are lonely. But instead of just going back out there to the mall where anyone could be, you're like, I want to find these sort of anymore. I want to find these specific pockets. Just kind of interesting.
Yeah.
You know what I think about sometimes is like the act of being a regular at the same 3 places.
Yes.
Because I think there's a couple of different things that feed into it. Like one, we have so many options now that you're not going to just go to the one coffee shop near you. You want to go try through the site, you know, the top 10 coffee shops that you should try. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Totally.
Options. The other thing is it's not the same service worker that you're interacting with all the time. It's a different DoorDash person every week that's coming. It's not the same person every week. Not that it ever was, but you know what I mean? It's we don't really have the structure of like the regular person in the community.
Repetition.
Yeah, because I think we're talking a lot about also like through sort of like socialization, through interest, but what about just sort of the like common sort of background community that happens too? Like I think that's also a huge hole that's happening. And maybe that to, you know, fuel your thing over there. Maybe that's what church was, you know, it wasn't necessarily social, but it was like you went every Sunday and it was like the same guy eating a ham sandwich in the back of the church and you said hello. And like, that gave you like a sense of community. He asked about your kids. You're like, yeah, Mark, it's great.
I think
like, and that was it, you know?
I think the being a regular thing is interesting, but I struggle to connect it with community because I connect it with hospitality, which I think is a different thing. Like the reason I think one goes back to a place, focus group of one, I'll speak for myself. The only place I'm a regular at in LA is the place where I would show up with my friends. They would know at least 3 or 4 of our names, first names out of 10 people. They would remember our regular order. They would offer a drink at the end. And they would be very easy when we show up and there's no table. They'd be lovely. But there's no table. Maybe just wait 5 minutes. I'll give you a beer while you wait. And then just, we'll figure, like like some flexibility. And that's the only place we go back to. They serve the same beer as the one next door. And I go there with my friends. But those same friends, I go to my house and other people's house and then other restaurants where I want to try other things. But mostly, right?
Yeah,
and
but
I don't call that my community. They're my friends.
But if the
and
bar...
I don't meet anyone at the bar.
But if the bar is closing down for like they don't have money to keep going, and that becomes like your favorite spot to hang out with friends. Wouldn't you like bring and see who the people are who would frequent that bar and say, okay, let's keep it running. It always brought this community together, this one bar, and then
or
donations,
you would feel
right?
loss. You would feel loss.
Perfect.
Yeah.
So community isn't necessarily about connection because I don't know those people.
Yeah.
I know no one else in that bar.
Yeah.
But
So
I guess
that's what I'm trying to get to.
No, but
It's
I think that what you, I mean, it's the problem, right? Is that the definition is too many things. I don't think that the bar equals community. I think the bar is an infrastructure on which community is built. So like, I think that it gives, at least your example, like my version of that, it creates a sense of closeness to where I live and the experience I have. But I don't think that the bar I'm a regular at is my community.
Yeah.
But like, I think that's also maybe part of the problem is like everything is so fragmented now. It used to be like, right, to your point, the mall, and then there were community centers, literally community centers were built. And that's where it was so singular in where the community actually convened. And I think now part of what's interesting and difficult and why people feel a sense of like untethered from community is because there is no singular place for it. It's sort of happening around you, and you have to find sort of the pieces around you that make you feel connected to a community.
I think what I'm trying to say is I think community can be a result, but it can be a strategy. And that's what that's how I'm trying to communicate. I think you get to community by doing other things. And that thing we can discuss. I think it's through passion points, but that's,
I agree.
one way, but I don't think you go on and be like, how do I build community? It's like, how do I get to do the thing I like?
Yeah, you have to figure out what your objective is why you want community in the first place.
Yeah, but Roman, I 100% agree with you, but I think to the question Biz brought at the beginning, I do think there are thousands of people walking around saying, I wish I had a sense of community. Yeah. So in a sense, like people are asking the wrong question. And that's part of the problem is actually community is very alive and well everywhere, but you're asking the wrong question because community is not the thing to find. It is the outcome. What do you want? Do you want a group to share passions with? Do you want a group that believes in a cause that you believe? Do you want something that rewards you for the effort that you put it? Like, what are you looking for? And I think that's why, like, it's such an interesting question that like community's not dead. You just have no idea what the hell you're asking for. Yeah. Like, what do you want?
How does it, I don't know, like cultural differences on this? Like how I know Latin cultures are very different. Then the US is very specific, I think, about it. But I don't know. Like, I don't know about Asian cultures. I know Latin cultures is definitely not manufactured.
It just is.
It just is.
Yeah.
Yeah. I did light research on that. It felt like too big to get in. I'm talking about like the whole world. Yeah. This is just an hour. But there's a sort of a divide as far as like, is the root of that culture an individualistic one, or is it one that is based off of more collectivism? So I think that dictates a lot, but the US is definitely not alone in this feeling. I mean,
no, that's for sure.
Like it varies so much.
It's the loneliness epidemic that we hate to talk about, but it's a reality.
Favorite insight.
Yeah.
What was it?
The
just the
loneliness
famous, thing that we hate to talk about it because now
we've never been more connected, but more lonely.
Because now it's
It's true.
Yeah, it's true.
So that's prevalent.
But I do feel like it definitely feels like ever since COVID happened, and we've all been kind of struggling with like this sense of community, because like to your point, when the pandemic broke out, everyone was like, oh, you cannot be around people, right? So our first reaction was like, get away from people and just stay in. You can't even go out to get groceries. And then bit by bit, we stayed in and it felt too comfortable. We forgot that we need to be social and we need to kind of, it's kind of like a muscle you have to train to speak to people every day. So it became too comfortable. There is well, there is kind of, but everyone is out and about now. And now you have to relearn social protocols and how you used to make friends or talk to people or just say hi to that guy back in the church or
Yeah.
And we've been all relearning that, having been inside and too comfortable inside. And our sense of community has been more online and less offline, I feel.
Yeah, I agree.
There's a thing off of that I want to talk about too, which is inconvenience.
Right.
We, especially during the pandemic, we emotionally and functionally got very used to convenience, and to show up for another person or for a community is inconvenient. Just it inherently is.
Yeah.
So I guess it's like, how do you sort of reverse that when convenience is so comfortable and it's also become such a part of just our system, our daily life?
Have you guys heard about friction maxing?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, because I feel like
Talk about it, though. We explained it.
Talk about it.
You explain it for
maxing
the listeners.
Okay, so friction maxing is because everything has been very convenient for us. Like you order DoorDash, you don't even have to meet the dasher. You just pick up your food. Netflix, you can open whatever your heart desires and watch it. Basically, everything has become too convenient to a fault that we've all kind of forgot how to have the slightest bit of inconvenience that it can literally break us down. So I think friction maxing is a movement.
Yeah.
I don't even know what to call it, but basically
a choice.
Yeah, sure. That
a desperation.
The desperation to have more inconvenience in our lives.
Yeah.
Because we've gotten too comfortable and now the very easy stuff has become so hard to do, which is, again, like talking to people. Even the dasher doesn't want to see you, by the way.
Yeah.
Like, I don't want to meet the dasher, but the dasher is like throwing and taking a quick
picture.
and running out to see the guy.
Those photos, I feel so vulnerable.
I know.
When they catch you.
Me too. But yeah, so I feel like building community is friction maxing.
Yeah, that's such a good point, though. It is quite
great.
literally friction maxing. Like it is choosing inconvenience over. There's like my favorite example of this, and I can't remember if we've talked about it on the pod before, but I mean, I know Biz and Roman, you guys know the big research project we did 2 years ago now with nonfiction research on the Heartland. And that's, when we talked a lot about community with the Heartland, and we interviewed a ton of people, and I'll never forget this specific example. Somebody basically said, the difference between Heartland and the coast is like, if you're moving to like a new house, new apartment, somebody in like a coastal city is going to say, oh, that's awesome. Like, let me know when the new housewarming party is. And someone in the Heartland's going to say, what day? I'll be there with my truck.
Yeah.
And it's such a difference. Like, and I think about it too, because if someone tells me they're moving, I'm like, please don't ask me to help.
Really?
No, I would totally do it. I love putting shit in boxes. I would rather help you pack
but
than
not
move stuff.
Not unbox and unpack.
Well,
Good to
I
know.
like putting things
Good to know.
That's good to know because there are very few packers, but you can find people generally who move boxes. So good to know.
You want like putting things in the boxes and then putting things away. I love moving it. Not my favorite part, but
get ready.
No, but it's a muscle though, and I think like the more you live in a city and like everything is convenient and everything's separate, it just becomes so easy to do the opposite of friction maxing, And I'm a Heartland kid.
Yeah.
I'm from very close to the Great Mall of America that you were talking about. I spent my teen years there. But like now, I had a friend recently who was like, hey, can you feed my cat? Just go over there once a day for 3 days. And my urge, every part of my body was like, I don't want to. And it wouldn't even be a big deal. But I had to so strongly reject that. And I had to do it anyway. And I'm glad I did because it wasn't that big of a deal. It wasn't inconvenient. It was massively helpful to my friend. But I just noticed that urge come up in me of just wanting to be like, nope.
Yeah.
And I think about all of the sort of wellness signals too that are like, you have to protect your sanity and your boundaries and say no. And it's like, what if you just said yes?
Yeah.
Maybe that's the thing you need to go do.
Maybe that's like, it's as simple as that. Like if you want, community requires yes. Like at the end of that, like that's it. At the end of the day, that is like, if you say yes to more things, congratulations. One of the biggest outcomes of that will probably be a sense of community.
Or what if you forced it and then people get just addicted to it?
Yeah, go on.
I wonder.
Like in high school, you got to do community hours, right? My daughter's got to go for certain credits, and she's got to spend X amount of hours per quarter.
What'd she do?
Whatever. What did she do? There's a group that cleans up Bologna Creek. There's a group that represents, I think, the high school at a farmer's market. There's different things, right, that you do for the high school or for the city. And it's kind of like, it's not forced, but it's like, it's extra credit, and it's a pretty easy one because you get to hang out with your friends. But then at the end of it, you feel really good, and maybe you met other people, and maybe you actually created community.
Yeah.
And I think to me, the biggest channel for community building today is the private sector. Like companies should, and some of them do, right? In our previous company, we would do that, but it wouldn't be forced. It's voluntary. But let's say if you work like 40 hours a week or whatever, then 10% of this or 5% of it, 2 hours a week, you got to dedicate to a certain community building effort, and then you just force it to get people addicted to it. I don't know.
Yeah.
You don't sit. That was a small yeah. That wasn't very.
I was thinking
that wasn't a very convinced yeah.
I mean, I love like
I love the private sector.
Yeah, forcing people to do things. Yeah, absolutely.
It's a socialist approach to the private sector.
No, that's
just
true.
to be clear.
No, that is true.
I wasn't questioning. What was going through my head was not questioning the mechanic. I was actually questioning whether community requires for good. Like that's what I was questioning. Is it
To me, no.
I didn't think so either.
No.
That's why, like when we were, it's just one aspect of community potentially.
It's just one way to get people to meet strangers and find common ground.
What's interesting is, like as you were talking about that, I was thinking about, okay, so I agree, right? Like there has to be. Community is an outcome. It's not the thing. You can't say, I want this. I think that community is built on like binding agents, a passion and interest, a skill, something that you want, something that's like shared.
Yeah.
But I was thinking about like, do I consider my Pilates studio a community? I go the same days every week. I see the same people there. We chit chat, but like, I don't think of it as community. And I was like internalizing with myself why.
But you can be part of different communities, right? You can be a
100%.
part of the Pilates community. You can be part of like designer communities. You can be a part of like an even bigger community, like a feminist. It could be like, you can be in different parts of communities.
But don't you think that that's part of what destabilizes the definition of community is just calling groups communities? Like, I don't feel like I belong, like that to me is not a community. Like
it's just
for me, it's just a class Pilates and I like studio. The people and I go to the studio and but it's not, I think that's, to me, that's part of the interesting thing is that like why, I said it means everything and nothing at the same time, because it's like if we just call every group a community, I think it actually makes people crave it more because they feel like they're doing all these things and like, shouldn't I be feeling community? Like I go to this class but like then they feel empty.
Well, maybe then it's like a potential community. Right? Yeah. Where if there's like this one person or you in the Pilates studios decided like, you know what? We all love Pilates. Let's go one day do it by the beach.
Yeah.
And then, or let's do like our Pilates studios is giving us like a checkup for our well-being, and we're all gonna go to get like. I think it needs initiative, but these are like opportunities, and I feel like a lot of brands jump on those opportunities where you have like this potential communities of people going to that one specific Pilates studios, and then you see like LO Yoga or Lululemon are gonna jump in and
pop-ups.
Or like this one matcha shop, and are like, we're giving you matcha or whatever. So I think there are potential communities out there, but you got a friction max.
No, you're right.
Yes, exactly.
The friction requires the friction max.
I think Jesse's example is just one small layer away from community. What you said. There's multiple examples. Like I have like this pretty much a similar example that probably went that one layer away because I'm a tennis nerd. And I just used to, you meet people where you play tennis in the public courts, and then people are like, oh yeah, they seem to be the same level. They take your number and you get in the thing. And then suddenly you're in a big WhatsApp group with like 35 people, 20 of which you've never met. And it's all about scheduling thing and blah, blah, blah. It's very transactional until someone says,
what about?
Starts commenting on a live game that's happening.
Right.
And then there's a connection that goes beyond just a transaction of playing tennis.
Yeah.
And then suddenly there's a team that's formed. And then you lose a bunch of matches and you're like, well, what if we went to the pub on Saturday?
Yeah.
Literally. And then suddenly you kind of have a community.
It is a
even
community,
though it's a group of dudes who have nothing in common about tennis. Nothing in common.
But that's beautiful.
Everybody's coming, and that's really fun. Yeah, that is really fun. So do you think, because you brought up brands, I'm curious if you think brands do a good job at community?
I don't know. That is a very good question. I feel that, yes, they've been trying to not build, but like use these potential spaces where they can, because at the end of the day, brands want to sell and they want to be part of those spaces. And they'll only insert them, or smart brands or strong brands are going to insert themselves in stronger potential for community. I feel like a good brand is, I want to say Poppy, the soda, because I remember them doing like this event that ran for like 10 days and they had like comedians, like they had a whole agenda and people just showed up. Not because they were going to get like free samples. It's just people who enjoyed Poppy and loved following their Instagram and just enjoyed the different flavors. And they all got together and just talk about Poppy.
That's interesting.
What do you think defines a community for a brand?
I think it's the same thing. Like I think that it sort of starts from the same problem that we're just talking about, right? I think the word community was conflated at some point to just mean like fans, super fans, cult following, followers, social media followers. And I'm like, that does not a community make. Yes. And so I think even the friction maxing thing is important for brands. Or like, actually, I think the value exchange has to be asymmetric in favor of the consumer. You need to give them more than you're taking as a brand. And so the brand is actually the one that needs to step into that space of inconvenience, the friction max. And I think a lot of brands think just like, but look at all this following. And I'm like, not the same thing.
Yeah,
it's not the same thing.
Even then, sorry, just one thing. Even then, I don't know that it's enough. Because like, if you think about like traditional sense of community and even like all the classic things that we've been talking about, it's not two-way.
Oh, totally.
Yeah. But that's the thing is like, to me, what defines a community for a brand is a passion point and an exchange between the people who 100%. Like it, not just the brand.
Not the brand is not the...
Not top down and bottom up. It needs to go all the ways. And so with that in mind, not many brands are achieving that.
Totally. I think the brand is the infrastructure and they're providing the resources, the space, the thing. And like, yes, there's obviously some benefit to them, but the relationship, 100%, it's like member to member.
Unless there's a strong founder story or a persona at the forefront.
Yeah, or a visionary, someone who has like a strong vision for that.
Yeah.
And I think that's how Poppy started too, right? It was sort of like a founder-led, like a strong one person.
A Shark Tank
vision.
episode and like, they did a rebranding and then people loved the founder and the story. And
it's
then
a person.
Because it's a human, right? So brands cannot just become community. There needs to be like, because you can easily just, I'm no longer part of this community. I don't care anymore.
That's how cults start.
Yeah. I mean,
literally.
Go ahead, Biz. Sorry.
I mean, different leaders. Like, I mean, you can study it, right? Like if it's a charismatic leader, that's going to start a different cult versus a dictatorship. Like it all sort of has different, results. But I also think that like, that's sort of the issue with like this facade of community between brands and then social media companies where it's like even TikTok calls like the hashtags communities. But all it is it's crazy. It's hashtag gaming, hashtag music, and like so it creates that sort of facade of that feeling. It almost reminds me of like if you're trying to feel nourished by eating a bunch of candy, like you just keep wanting more, but you never like are hungry or you're never fulfilled.
Yeah.
And I think that's kind of Jesse disagrees because Jesse loves candy.
Terrible example.
But I think it's sort of like a hungry ghost model that's happening, where it's like we're fed with so many mirages of community through brands and through the things we buy and consume and content, but it's not actually fulfilling anything.
Right.
Yeah.
I think both people seeking a sense of community out in the world and brands who want to use community, both of them are wishing it to be a shortcut to happiness or success or fulfillment or revenue. Like, and it's just, that's to your point about friction maxing. It is just not a shortcut. It's an investment of time, of money, of energy, but the return is unbelievable. It's just not a shortcut.
It's not convenient.
Yeah, it's not convenient.
Yeah. You can't buy it.
Yeah.
No.
You can't buy it.
So interesting.
Yeah. I was going to say something, but I forgot.
Sorry, I got excited about
Sorry.
It was going to be great.
I know.
Usually is, you know.
It usually is.
Yeah.
Usually
Always
is.
is.
Yeah, I'm really, do you feel, I'm interested because we were talking right before this about your nomadic lifestyle. Do you feel a strong sense of community, not being rooted to a single, I mean, I know obviously there's we were talking about online communities as well, but I'm just curious because we were talking about it earlier.
I feel like I have like a community everywhere I go that I've built over the years. I feel because I grew up in Cairo, that's like the easiest place for me to plug in because I have family, friends from school and college. It's so easy. I think the very first community that I would call a community was my family. We're a very close family. We always got together and that was like my community. And to this day, like that is like my sense of like comfort the most. But then as I move around and then I stay longer in places, I just seek out people. First, it's like, okay, we work in the same field or we have those same ideas or we share like niche memes.
Yeah.
And then it feels like, okay, let's catch up over coffee. And then it becomes a regular thing. They bring their friends, I bring mine. And then it becomes kind of like a party. Party of people.
A party of people.
But yeah.
I read literally yesterday, I read such an interesting article about how memes are so much more than just a stupid like internet thing. Like literally the way that it is almost a language that crosses cultures and boundaries and essentially like it is rooted in like a shared belief or like it's like a complete language system that binds people together. And it's really interesting how meme is not just like, some people treat it just like internet speak, but actually, or it's just a joke, but actually the language, the way that it bonds people.
Yeah.
It's really interesting.
There is real like different subcultures depending on like what memes you consume and what makes you laugh, which is kind of strange. But I feel like Taylor Lorenz talks about it a lot. Joshua Citarella as well, like because he's done like the research on like these meme cultures and like the different sigils and banners, and you can pinpoint them based on their profile pictures that they're putting. It's like a whole thing. I haven't gotten that into it, but definitely I feel like it signals.
Yeah.
Like
that just made me think that brands should segment their audiences based on the memes they consume.
They share and
that's
consume.
Like the best way to build a persona. I'm standing by that going forward. Best way to build a persona.
I agree with that.
What's in your email inbox? What do you ask ChatGPT and what memes do you share?
Oh my God.
That's pretty good.
That's the new plan.
Yeah. Do you see, you talked about Cairo. Do you see different, some places easier than others to build community? Like, you know, the US really well, you know, Egypt really well. You spend a lot of time in the GCC. I think Europe too. Like, do you see places where it's easier?
Honestly, not really. But that could be only my experience. It just really requires you to force yourself to meet new people and just go through, that discomfort of just being awkward, embarrassed, and like, oh my God, I don't want to meet what if they murder me, right? Like, I don't know. You got a plan, okay.
Yeah, we could have murdered you. Like, you just came to our random podcast studio
in Hollywood.
We were like, hey, come hang out with us.
Yeah, it will be chill.
But I think it's just like the willingness of people. And I feel like with time, you're going to be able to tell like this person is like real. Not genuine. It's like they're flaky. They're like not showing up. They just want something. But you can tell vibes are like big.
I think you're going back to the most important thing. It's like you gotta something needs to happen. You gotta force yourself to do something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Actually,
and when you do, people do pick up the phone and show up, and then to your point, and you filter out pretty naturally.
Yeah.
I know that this is all bundled under friction maxing, which I think is just the core theme of this. I mean, it's really smart, because I think it is the core of what has to happen. And this is tied to it, but it's you said embarrass yourself, and I was thinking, it made me think about how many feelings and emotions people tend to avoid that actually prevent them from opening themselves up to community. Because friction maxing is not just the convenience versus inconvenience, but like, do you want to, you like don't want to feel awkward, you don't want to feel embarrassed, you don't want to say something stupid. And we build all of these barriers around ourselves to protect ourselves from those emotions. And those emotions are literally the things that typically bind you with somebody in a community. Like a shared embarrassing story usually binds people together more than just like, we had a good time.
Oh yeah.
And so I hadn't thought about that, about how like some of those negative emotions actually are the most powerful in creating community, and they're the very emotions that we try to prevent from happening.
Yeah, it's vulnerability. And I think that, I mean, you guys know I'm a big softie, but that's all, we were just talking about that on cancer. But like, I think that's the beautiful thing about being human, is you're always sort of chasing being seen, but you don't want to be seen at the same time. And it's like this like horrible kind of experience that we all have in our daily lives constantly. But I also think that's why sometimes the strongest, and to your point, most like natural or organic communities usually stem from a shared vulnerability, like an outcast activity or a minority group or something like that, because it already has so much sort of like shared vulnerability baked into it versus having to like expose yourself to it. Does that make sense?
Yeah, totally.
Yeah. So I also, so that reminded me of something. I think also a core skill to learn if you're trying to be part of a community or trying to build it or just, like meet people is vibe literacy. It's like,
that's great.
Yeah. So I feel like we talk about, vibe is off. We don't know what is vibe, but we gotta learn to understand energies in general.
And also how to give vibe.
Vibe literacy.
Exactly.
Yeah.
All right, talk a little more about this.
I don't know. I just came up with it.
Yeah, keep going.
But actually,
trademark it right now.
What prompted the thought, and what in your experience prompted that thought?
No, when you were talking about like the Pilates thing and the tennis thing and like this whole thing of what is a potential community makes, and I think it's like, are the vibes off or are there actually vibes? And it's not that easy to read. It actually requires for you to like know what you're observing and like kind of, it's more nuanced, I feel.
Yeah.
So you gotta be able to kind of vibe check the spaces you put yourself into and make sure they're authentic, they're genuine, and they're true to yourself. And then you will have that, like, you'll break the wall bit by bit. Oh, I can be vulnerable here. Yeah. Because I read the room. And I feel like it is a muscle to train. It's not like you either have it or you don't. It's like you just gotta keep plugging yourself into these spaces and understand the vibes, if that makes sense.
Oh my God, we have the next podcast subject.
Oh my God, I'm curious.
Yeah. How do you
literacy?
teach people how to read the fucking room?
That's good. Intuition.
It's so interesting.
It's a hot one.
It really is. Because also, I think sometimes you're really good at it professionally, but like,
oh my God, I know. Yes,
I can personally, like, I think I'm excellent at reading the room in a professional setting, but personally, I'm always like, I thought we were just like having a great time. Like the vibes are off here. I had no idea. I thought we were having
That's a martini effect.
That's a martini. I'm like, there's music playing in my head. I'm having a good time. Oh, we're not having a good time. Like,
there's music playing in my head.
I'm like, dance party up here, but no, that's not what's happening. Okay.
But that is interesting. I think because we pay more attention to it in like a professional space. Yeah. Like you build your character in the meeting room. I gotta sell this idea. I gotta pitch it. I gotta convince this client to like accept the project or whatever I'm submitting. Versus in day to day, you're not really thinking much about, I want to sell myself to people who would want to be friends with me. So I think, I think if anything, this proves that it is a muscle to train.
Totally.
You just gotta think about it.
It's so interesting what you're saying, because I agree, but it basically means learning how to do it is by not doing it.
Is by doing it more and failing.
Because
and then knowing
but there's
what
this
went
thing
wrong.
that you said, which I love. It's just like, we're in a professional setting, we all do it because of all the reasons you said. In a personal setting, we're not doing it because we're not trying to sell ourselves. But if you end up doing it and try to sell yourself, you're going to be pushed out. So there's a
way to do it for sure.
There's a version of this that is like, do it by not doing it.
Yeah, that's so
just be chill, just be cool. Pretend you don't care. Yeah, whatever.
That's very interesting. Yeah, you know what this is also making me think of is like, I know in a recent episode, we were talking about how to get people to read again. And Roman, I think you said, if you haven't found a genre of books you like, that sounds like a you problem. Because like every genre's out there, and it stuck with me because it's so true. If people are like, I don't like reading because I'm like, that sounds like a you problem. But I actually think community is similar. Like it is so, I'm like, when everyone's complaining about, and all the things we've talked about, I mean, there's so many interesting things that I think we've talked about just I just love the topic, but like, if you feel like you don't have a community, that sounds like a you problem.
You're not getting out there.
Yeah, you're not. You're afraid. You're not being vulnerable. You're afraid to be embarrassed. You're not friction maxing. You're going to spaces, and like when we talked about how you're one step away from community. Yeah. So okay, you go to the gym multiple times a week, and like. So go one step further then. You're almost there. Like the space itself is not it's a you problem. Do something about it.
Right. But most people don't realize it's
exactly.
They think it's just gonna happen. I feel like I'll just show up to the gym and that's it. Like they don't see the potential.
Yeah, and I think it's easy with many things to just blame the world around you and be like, community is dead.
That's not true.
That's not true.
No, but it's interesting what you're saying, Nourhan, because you got to show the potential because people don't see it.
Yeah,
and if it's out there, we got to get them to just act on that first step because it exists. Yeah. And by doing those two things, maybe we'll start getting somewhere at a more mass.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. You see what I mean?
Yeah, totally. Yeah. I think what I have realized in this conversation is there's helping people understand what community even is, because people are just using the term like loosey-goosey and everybody thinks they want it, but no one really knows what they're asking for. And then there's the behavioral change that has to happen, which is like, okay, actually it's out there, know what you want and then act on it. It's just like, it's twofold. And I think we started this conversation with how do you build true community? And it's like, well, actually it's out there. You have to know what you want and then change your behavior to go get it.
I agree with that.
Which I think is not where I thought we were going to go, but it's super interesting. I don't know where we are on time. I feel like we're near the end.
We have another 6.
It's another 6?
Yeah, another 8 actually. Another 8 actually, because now I put the timer a few minutes before the wrap up. So you can go all
My
the
internal
way.
clock's
You
a
can
little
go
off.
all the way to the clock ringing.
What was there anything else interesting that came up in your research biz that we haven't touched on?
Let me scroll. Let me see.
I can tell you guys a fun fact.
I love your fun facts.
Let's hear it.
Yes.
Yeah.
Go on.
You know Timothée Chalamet, right?
Oh yes.
Who?
Personally.
Personally, no, just the actor.
Yeah.
So turns out, and I just learned about this like a few weeks ago. There's like this person online who calls herself Club Chalamet. Have you guys?
I know.
Yeah?
Please go on. Yeah.
All right. But correct me if I get anything wrong. But basically, it's this person who she's this middle-aged woman who's very obsessed with Timothée Chalamet and how she roots for him, like almost as if she's part of, like, she's either his mom or his aunt. Like she's not like obsessing over him as like, oh, she loves him or has a crush on him. Rather, it's like more, he's like my son and we gotta root for him and like rally around him, right?
Yeah, she's created like a parasocial relationship that is about like nurturing him as an individual, but it's two extremes that are
it's crazy. But I mean, a lot of people have been following the account a lot of like Timothée Chalamet fans, and they're like, okay, we gotta go root for him on this new film. We gotta watch the new film, make sure he gets sales. Like it's kind of crazy, but I feel like that is also a community. It's just so niche.
That's so like interesting.
Crazy.
That sounds like that movie, which might have been a Stephen King book, like Misery.
I don't know.
Okay, you have to watch that.
Okay, got it.
And
sounds like it ends dark.
You will remember your entire life.
Oh boy,
it's scary.
No, I don't like scary movies.
It's about a fan of, I think, an author who,
Okay.
Wow, I'm so
Thank you,
sold.
Romain. I'm deeply inspired.
I think the rest is spoiler. So just go watch that movie. It's phenomenal. I think it was called Misery. Anyway.
Okay,
we don't even know.
Yeah. I think you made it up. I don't know.
Look it up.
All right, kids. If you respect the grown-ups with their like cultural baggage, that would be appreciated.
Okay.
You'll see. I'll send you the follow-up. You'll be like, oh, it's actually one of the most famous movies of the 90s. Yeah, it might be. Yeah.
I believe you.
Well, I think that touches, just to wrap it up, on one thing that we didn't talk about, which is sort of like your different roles within a community. And what you're talking about is like an organizer or someone who sort of sparks it. But not all people are organizers, and that's okay. But if you're not an organizer, how do you get yourself engaged, and what is your role?
Yeah.
But, that's a bigger thing to get into, but that's sort of like kind of what you were talking about. You know what I mean? Is like what is it? Club Chalamet?
Club Chalamet.
Club
The CC. That's an organizer. And she gave a very clear role for fans to engage in that. You know what I mean? She really provided a role in a community around it. So shout out.
But I
to
don't
her.
think she started as an organizer. Like, I think she was doing her own thing.
Well, not all lions know their lions. You know what I mean?
Right. That's true. That's true. It's just people like rallied around her.
They're just normal people.
Yeah. They're like, oh my God, we love this. We need to tune in.
Exactly.
Yeah. Sorry. I cut you off.
Oh, no. It just made me think of one other thing that we haven't talked about. And it's just a theme that comes up a lot in our episodes, which is discovery and like sense of discovery. And I actually think that's another interesting thing, because we do talk a lot about community as sort of knowing what you want. Like, I'm passionate about X, so I'm going to go find like-minded people. But I think it's interesting to also look at community as sort of a discovery path for people, and like people who are feeling just stuck and wanting to sort of experience new things. I think going, like, sometimes you don't even know what you are interested in, but finding a person who helps you find new things. I don't know. It's not about building community. It just was something that popped in my head in terms of what community, community, you can either go super deep down the rabbit hole of things you already know you really like, or you can use it to like broaden try new things and broaden your experiences. And I think both are kind of interesting.
And actually surprisingly difficult to do emotionally. Like, I feel like we're also trained to just kind of stay in our niches through the algorithm, and it takes a weird muscle to step outside of that and go down a different
friction
hole.
maxing.
Friction masking.
That's the answer to everything.
But I feel like, but I'm only talking about like online communities, because those are the easiest to build or be part of, I feel, naturally, right?
Yeah.
But I feel like in the early internet days, like, again, to your point, this idea of discoverability, and like, you can just, the internet was like this big dark forest, and you let yourself,
it was so fun.
Right? You lose yourself in it. You just go to these random websites, these random forums. It could be anything.
You had to get out of there.
Somehow. But now it feels like the internet has been like these big top 5 websites. Like, it's either you're on Facebook, and no one's on Facebook, but the
internet's just a giant ad.
It's just like three places you open. It's either Twitter.
That's the time. No, you can keep going. You can keep going. No, it's true. Yeah.
So it's either Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, maybe Snapchat, and I don't know, Amazon. I don't know.
Yeah, totally.
True.
And that's it. And we've stopped trying to either build these spaces or be a part of it. So they just die off like a literal forest. You don't water it, it dies, right?
That's so sad.
But there, we can change that.
We can go plant trees on the internet again.
No, but I just feel like, again, to that idea of like, it is a muscle to train. And I feel like we used to have it, especially those who experience like the early internet days, versus now you're just like, you log on, you create your account on just one of those 3, 4.
Yeah, your
platforms.
fate is already destined for
That's
you
it,
when you
yeah.
when you
someone is
log
gonna
on.
slide in your DM, or you're gonna slide in someone's, and that's it. Like
True.
that's
That's it.
community.
Yeah,
And on
that's
that
community.
note,
Hashtag.
sliding into the DMs, that's
Yeah.
community.
I don't know anything about that, but
Allegedly.
yeah, allegedly. No, but this was a good conversation.
Yeah,
that was fun.
I think you kind of wrapped it up
My
5
bad.
minutes ago. But we talked about a lot of things. I think just even the definition of a community.
Mhm.
What is it? Has it lost its meaning? Do we know what it is anymore? Can we feel what it is? We talked about sort of different tenets or objectives or outcomes of community, or maybe they're the inputs: support, belonging, shared ideology. Maybe you need exposure to new things. Maybe you're looking for intimacy. We talked a lot about friction maxing as a theme, as sort of the core behavior that you need to kind of fight against or I guess to actually engage in community. Somebody said that community requires yes. And I thought that was really nice. Cause I think that it's a good sort of, emotional mantra to the friction maxing and to the inconvenience of it all.
Yeah.
I liked the conversations around memes, and maybe they're more than just a joke. The vibe literacy was amazing.
Awesome.
I think
So
that
good.
Patent
needs to be like a new,
TM.
noted. So yeah, this was a great conversation.
It was a lot of fun.
Yeah.
So I guess I'll start with you. Do you think that we cracked it?
I feel we've cracked what we could, and I think that is enough.
That's beautiful. I love that. I'm aligned to that perspective.
All right.
Perfect.
All right. That's it.
We
All
did
right,
it.
that's the pod. Thanks for watching and listening.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank you for listening to another episode of Crack It in an Hour. If you like the show, please don't forget to rate, review, and subscribe wherever you listen. If you have questions, thoughts, or feedback, shoot us an email at hello@crackitpodcast.com or on Instagram @crackitpodcast. Music done by Michael Anastasi, cover art shot by Mick Mint, and all things audio and video taken care of by Nathan Nash. See you next time.